So, ACJ injuries, what are they? How do they happen? And most importantly, how are they treated in practice? Let's find out. Hey guys, Khalid here. Welcome back to Clinical Physio. So ACJ or Acromioclavicular Joint injuries. Let's dive into our anatomy model to show you the key structures and also talk a little bit about how these injuries occur in practice. So let's dive into the anatomy. Here we can see the posterior surface or the back of the scapula, also known as the shoulder blade. And that's where the acromion joins onto. So the acromion, as you can see, is almost a hooked shape structure, and it sits just above where the humerus or the arm bone would sit, which is here articulating with the shoulder blade. Now, what joins onto the acromion is the clavicle, also known as the collarbone, and together these two structures join to create the acromioclavicular joint, the joint between the acromion and the clavicle. Now, it's a really important joint. As you can see, it's a very large structure and it almost blocks external threats from impacting with the shoulder. But also, it's really important because it sits just above the head of the humerus or the head of the arm bone, meaning that it can stop the humerus moving too far superiorly, too far upwards in order to prevent superior dislocations of the shoulder. So next, let's look at the front of the scapula or shoulder blade and a really important structure to this whole process, which is the coracoid process. Now, as you can see, this is also a little bit of a hooked shape structure and it sits directly underneath the clavicle or the collarbone. Why is this so important? Well, it's because it provides the attachment point for the most super important two ligaments to the acromioclavicular joint, and those are the conoid ligament and the trapezoid ligament. Now here we can see these ligaments in a little bit of a better view, and you can see how they clearly attach to that coracoid process and how they effectively hold the collarbone or clavicle down to the scapula so that it creates that joint right here between the acromion and the clavicle, the ACJ. Now, you can imagine that in a minor trauma, how might this happen? Let's say you've got someone who falls over and they bang their shoulder on the floor and you get a little bit of a sprain of those ligaments. Not too much of an issue. However, we commonly see in higher force traumas, such as with a rugby player, maybe he's being tackled to the floor, which means that there's someone grabbing onto him and forcing his shoulder down into the floor. That's when these ligaments can get torn, they get injured, and naturally that separates the collarbone or clavicle from the shoulder blade, meaning that we get an ACJ dislocation. So I thought I'd take you through a particular scale, which is the Rockwood classification. This is used to measure the severity of the ACJ injury. Now, before I do that, quick refresher of some of the key ligaments. So we have the conoid and the trapezoid ligaments, as we said before. These are collectively known as the coracoclavicular ligaments because they attach from the coracoid process to the clavicle. And then we have the acromioclavicular ligaments proper, which are these two here, which I'll highlight quickly for you there. There we go. And you can see that they kind of run there from the acromion to the clavicle. So those are the acromioclavicular joint ligaments proper. So Rockwood classification, grade 1, not that much to write home about, a little bit of a sprain of some of those ligaments. Rockwood classification 2, this is where we have a disruption of the acromioclavicular ligaments here, but those two vital ligaments, the conoid and trapezoid ligaments, are intact. Grade 3, this is one we see probably most commonly in practice when there is a dislocation, which is where you have a disruption of these ligaments and these ligaments, and therefore it creates a little bit of a step deformity because it means that the clavicle can move away from that coracoid process. Grade 4, this is a kind of more advanced level of injury where you have disruption of all those ligaments, and it means that the clavicle actually moves backwards in relation to the acromion. Again, not very common. And then we have grade 5 and grade 6, which are, again, a lot more severe. We've got grade 5 where you have complete rupture of those ligaments, but also of some of the key muscles, the deltoid and the trapezius muscle from around where they attach to the acromion and the clavicle, meaning that the clavicle really lifts superiorly. And then a grade 6, very, very rare in practice, where actually the clavicle can move inferiorly in relation to the ACJ. So that is the Rockwood classification. So how are these injuries treated in practice? Well, if we think about the grade 1 and grade 2 injuries on the Rockwood classification, there isn't any major need for surgery. These patients will have physiotherapy to try and get their joint moving again, to try and get the pain settled down, and to try and get their arm moving above 90 degrees again once pain has subsided. Therefore, the major talking points often surround when you have those grade 3 to grade 6 injuries. Now, the grade 5s and the grade 6s, the majority of the time, they will have surgery. The real grey area is those grade 3 injuries where there has been a separation, there's a step deformity present when you actually look at the patient. So what happens here? The majority of the time, these patients are not normally operated on. It's really important to tell these patients that the actual way that their shoulder now looks with that step deformity might be something strange to look at, but it won't cause a major disruption to their life. They should still be able to do all the things they need to do. They will be able to work. They will be able to get their arm right above their head, and they can go back to sport even. So cosmetic reasons is not a reason to have surgery. If the patient is still having a significant disruption to their life, they're really struggling despite medication, despite rehab, then sometimes these patients are considered for surgery. However, there are a lot of complications surrounding doing this kind of surgery. Here's some reasons as to why. So back to the anatomy model. Why are these surgeries so complicated, or why can complications arise? Well, you have some of the simple ones like the risk of infection, the risk of DVT, the risk of failure of some of the components for the surgery, but a really other important reason is the anatomy. And that's because right behind the clavicle, we have major vascular and neurological structures. So we have the subclavian artery and the subclavian vein, as you can see here. And also we have a really important bundle of nerve fibers as a part of the brachial plexus. And you can see all of these yellow structures in here. Those are all the nerves of the brachial plexus. So why is this important? Well, you don't want to do anything to risk injury to those important structures. If there is a major injury to the vascular structures, the vein or the artery, it can cause significant medical and vascular issues. And of course, if there's a major nerve injury, if those nerves are significantly irritated or the positioning of the clavicle puts so much pressure on those nerves, then the patient can end up having ongoing pins and needles, numbness, or even nerve compromise where they have difficulty moving their fingers or their arm, etc., etc. So it's not a decision taken lightly. Please make sure if you do have a concern about a particular patient, have a liaise with the orthopedic consultant who's looking after them to try and work out what the right thing to do is. So guys, that's a dive into ACJ injuries. I really hope you found this video useful. If you have, please support us by smashing that like button, subscribe to the channel. It's the #1 thing you can do to help us out at Clinical Physio. Otherwise, we've got loads of content on our Instagram account at Clinical Physio and on our website, clinicalphysio.com. My name's Khalid. Thank you so much for watching. See you soon here on Clinical Physio.